Berserk is well known and revered by people who love action-oriented stories. The darker, more mature, and gruesome the plot gets, the more it appeals to us. At least for the most of us. Although Berserk's plot has been all of this from inception, when it comes to any sort of adaptation of the manga, crucial chapters like the Lost Children are purposefully skipped over. But why would production studios do this, even though it contains some of the best moments that connect to future events aiding in plot progression? Well, it's literally in the name itself, children. Even though some of the most gruesome moments in Berserk have been adapted, when it comes to children, everyone starts to get cold feet, and it's understandable.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
What kind of an example are we setting?
So let's look into it. Yo. For many avid readers, the Lost Children arc is definitely top 3 of all arcs in the story. It has some of the most iconic and heart-wrenching moments ever written or drawn. To me, this was when Guts was at his peak of badassery, if that's even a word. The peak of the Black Swordsman phase. I mean, technically he is still the Black Swordsman, but in the first 2 years after the eclipse, this was a Dark Swordsman. The Lost Children arc housed the darkest moments in Guts' apostle hunting career, and quite frankly, I loved it. There was a focus about Guts when in battle with evil spirits and apostles that was terrifying and menacingly satisfying. Can you imagine how epic this scene of Guts taking down this possessed tree, being swift and untouchable with a 300-pound weapon on his back, adapted with the right kind of animation? Just look at these panels. It's just so beautiful. The fearlessness, the swordsmanship, the action, suspense, the darkness. Can you imagine? Imagine how beautiful. But you know, the children. This chapter contains some of the most epically satisfying battles against insectoid apostles, displaying Guts' genius, fearlessness, and ability to adapt in the midst of battle. But then again,
Think of the children!
this fight between him and the Rhino Beetle and Mantis apostles, and then how he overcame the difficulty of fighting them by adapting the use of his arsenal to favor him winning this battle. Again, children.
Somebody please!
For as much as this arc is a beautiful allegory about how children losing their innocence, suffering due to the exploits, cruelty, and nature of the adults that they live amongst, how even an apostle can be humanized, where we would feel sorry for her demise at the hand of the protagonist. No matter how much the events of this story correlates and is crucial to the development of the conviction arc, it's how we get there, the amount of horrific irony involving the exploitation of innocent children, that helps these studios not greenlight a faithful adaptation of this part of the overall story. If you're thinking in your head,
so what? This is what Berserk is all about. If people can't handle mature content, then don't watch. Berserk shouldn't have to suffer for people being snowflakes.
and you would not be wrong for thinking that. But imagine this. Let's say that the Lost Children arc gets a faithful adaptation, right? You have a friend who is asking you for anime recommendations, and you being a diehard fan recommend Berserk. This friend of yours loves battle shonen and doesn't have the patience for the long haul of the Golden Age. So you think to yourself, I have the perfect battle for him or her to watch. Guts versus Rosine. But in order to fully experience the ecstasy of their battle, they have to watch the full Lost Children arc. Everything is going well. Guts saves Jill from the bandits and destroys the possessed sacrificial tree epically. They're enjoying how everything is progressing. Until they get to this one scene where Guts is fighting the Wasp Apostles. He uses a kid as bait. Rosine shows up, and in the middle of Guts struggling to beat her, Puck interrupts Guts to tell him that the bugs aren't elves. They're children. Guts is like, oh shit.
What?
Then moments later, he's holding Jill as a hostage. Then a few scenes later, the same burning spirits of the pseudo-apostle kids he killed earlier visit to torment him, and his response goes, oh well, kids. and starts hacking the out of little kids burning and calling out for their parents, and laughs it off as he slowly loses his sanity. Listen, for the average anime viewer, that would not sit well. It's such a shame, man. We live in an age where people have the sensitivity of 5-year-olds, being able to stomach stories like Game of Thrones, but fiction works like Berserk get unnecessary scrutiny. Even though there have been moments in the story that were implied, like Guts' experience with child abuse, or an actual adaptation of harm to children with the accidental death of Adonis at the hands of Guts, it's unfortunate that they would skip over a well-written story arc such as The Lost Children, when the end of the Conviction arc was just as brutal, if not even worse, and was an allegory to criticizing organized modern religious extremism. I'm keeping hope alive though, because if they can adapt the Campfire of Dreams in the Memorial Edition, they could take a chance in adapting Lost Children, if they decide to reboot and continue the series through a second season of the Memorial Edition, using the same studio who adapted the Golden Age arc movies, of course. Let me know what you all think about this topic down below in the comments. And are there any other topics you all would like to see as future content on the channel? Jot them down below. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Berserk content coming down the pipeline. Make sure to check out the links in the description for the Berserk playlist and the first comment pinned to the top. You know the vibes. It's Kaizoku Sleven. Appreciate you.